Hey everyone, so today we're going to dive into something I have been apparently putting off for way too long. I always end up ignoring these. We skip right to green and don't do the blue lenses. So today we're going to dive into blue lenses. So there's a few options out there. We're going to look at some of those. Obviously you can always get custom, but what we are not talking about is something like this, where it's that blue mirror on the front surface of the lens. I love that type of lens, but that's not what we're here for today, because that's just a blue looking lens. What's underneath is not blue. So, on that note, so to get right on into it, for blue lenses, these guys you'll find very rarely, surprisingly. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of them, and I think that's why I always miss these when I try to do the lens color series. But there are some manufacturers out there that make blue lenses. These in particular are probably some of the most common ones. These guys are from Vuarnet. They're Blue Polar, and they're Blue Polar Lynx. The difference with the Lynx is essentially you have the bi-shaded mirror. A huge, huge deal, especially when it's already combined with polarized to begin with. But that's what it is. It's an option. There you go. Now, Vuarnet in particular says that blue lenses are good for being out on the water. Now, with deep water, that is entirely true. If you're going to be more inland, around more greenery, it's not as big an advantage just because the water's not as blue. Right? What? Yeah, so I know it seems silly. You would want a blue lens in deeper water when everything around you is blue, so you're enhancing the blue? What? That doesn't sound like a thing I would say for sure, but you have to go a little bit deeper than that. With the blue lenses, what it amounts to, as light travels through water, you lose some of the blue to the water, right? So you actually need that enhancement of the blue to keep the nice, crisp colors. You fishermen in particular already know about this, and you'll see it on corals. The deeper the water gets, the more you lose the blues, the greens, things like that, and the other colors start to come to life. It's a fishy fun, so have fun with your coral reefs. You can search into all of that. I will say blues in particular, I'm not a huge fan of, but when it comes to comfort, they tend to do the job really, really well. So this guy here is kind of a custom double gradient, so it is darkened with a black a little bit at the top, so a little bit more gray up there. But as you get in through it, you get more of that blue. This is a really common way to do blues, at least on the custom end of things. This is more often how we do it, so you get that increased darkness. Now, that doesn't mean we don't get a call for the blue lenses, and maybe this is why I'm stuck on them today, because we definitely do some pretty rad blue tints on occasion. That guy in particular is probably one of my favorites that's slung through here. I've actually made myself a custom blue gradient recently. That's really funny. Somebody else asked for one the next day. That's how it goes. So for comfort, it does a really good job. Really, the biggest advantage that I can come up with, and again, this isn't one of my favorite lenses to wear, so I'm going to be, I don't have a ton to say about blue lenses. Now you know why we don't really do them that often. I do see that it gets mixed up a whole lot with something like this, and that's going to be a blue mirrored lens. The difference being, you can see it on camera here really well, the base is not blue. It's typically going to be a gray or a brown, and it's going to have a really strong warm shift to it, which increases contrast really nicely. So there you can see a little bit better the blue mirrored lenses. Yeah, there we go. So you've got your blue mirrored lenses, but that's not a blue lens. Don't mistake the two. Don't mix it up. It often does get mixed up, but they have entirely different purposes and entirely different uses. It's not going to have the same effect visually or comfort-wise. This guy, that nice little custom blue we were just talking about, gives you all the darkness at the top that you won't generally get. You can't really get a true blue to where it's like this dark. Thus the black at the top to make that extra custom darkness. But everyone we fit this in just really brags about the overall comfort and look of it. Now, I do hate to throw this lens in there on one hand because I don't know any manufacturers that make something like this. That's the sad thing there. Now, for the second one I showed, Horse Design actually has one, and it is one of their top selling lenses. It's that blue gradient fashion tint. These are going to be about a category 2, not super, super dark, so definitely not your sunglasses blue tints, but probably the more common use we see, just for something that looks cool, again, like these guys here, but it's still really comfortable to wear and kind of takes the edge off of brighter lights. So it's nice in that regard, and that's more where I'm going to use blues. Very rarely am I going to grab one, like I said, unless you're that deep sea fisherman that really needs it out on the water. And I think that's why we do see it with Vuarnet, is because they have the blue. It's really one of their more popular polarized lenses. You know, with the European brands, they're not as well known for doing polarization, typically across the pond for whatever reason. And I agree with them. And yeah, but where we know the use is going to be out on the water, why would we not do it in a polarized lens? Because that's where the biggest advantage of the polarized laminate lies. So you take your blue lens, you have your polarization, you have a perfect combo for the deep blue sea, right? As it were, it makes sense. That's the place that I recommend it. And that's the only place I use it, so. That's really all I've got on blues. We'll go through, we'll get these guys out in the wild. I will show you, not this one. I can't get a camera to focus through that one, unfortunately, because of that prescription. I do have a blue gradient like that for myself, so we can do that finer filtered blue gradient. We'll get that one in 1 or 2 scenarios. Nothing too crazy there, just because the uses are more limited on that. Oh, I'll find something that works. This guy will take out in the wild in several different scenarios. Unfortunately, I don't know what frame you're going to find this in. We'll throw some links to the Vuarnet stuff down in the description below so you can check out these in person for yourself. And this is the one I'm going to focus on because you can't really see the benefits of the Polar Lynx technology recording through a camera, but you can see just the traditional blue Polar. And right off, this one's actually a little bit more blue just based on how it's reacting in the lights here. So that's going to do our purposes more. I'll see if I can find a nice little body of water deep enough nearby. We'll get this guy up there and you can see how it reacts. Should work. We shall see. But I'm going to stop talking for now. We'll get these guys out in the wild. We'll get all that added on. It'll be after this. Check that out. Hit up the chapters to see which each section and lens is. And I will note the lens, and somebody just had to see all of these lenses against a white background. So you got the boring white background. You can headhunt that guy and complain to him. I won't be doing it again. I don't like it. Now, for me, that's it. I will catch you guys next time. See you then.
To admit old habits hard to forget. I spend the night alone, clear text from my